show. I'm Linnet, Carty. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm so glad to be back with you this year, and I'm hoping that all of you are able to keep your New Year's resolutions. I'm going to try. I've hit the gym a few times, and I just got to keep it up, or else you'll see me holding my breath on air. Now, before I introduce the guest today, have I got a fantabulous show for you. Let's take a look at this video clip.
What has lasted 5,000 years was once almost lost. Now, the world awaits the divine culture's return. Shen.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me today to talk about the video clip that you just saw, the fabulous Shen. Here with me are Willaim Cheung, who is president of the Connecticut Chinese Cultural Association, and next to him is the very beautiful Tracey, who is president of the Connecticut Falun Dafa Association. Welcome to both of you. So, Willaim, please tell our viewers a little bit about what happens, first of all, at the Connecticut Chinese Cultural Association.
Yeah, the organization really with the objective is to promote the authentic Chinese culture to the Connecticut. We run different workshops in the community center, libraries, and also Lions clubs and also a Rotary Club as well. So we also organize different events. So just help the general public get to appreciate about the diversity of the culture.
Yes, and it's very diverse culture. We're going to talk a little bit about that further in the show. And Tracey, Falun Dafa Association.
Okay, Falun Dafa is a meditation exercise for body, mind, and spirit, and we offer free teaching of the exercise to the public. And this year, Connecticut Falun Dafa Association is a presenter of Shen Performing Arts. It's coming to Connecticut.
All right, so I love the collaboration, first of all. Different organizations get together to bring this fabulous show here to Connecticut. So let's talk a little bit about Shen.
Yeah, Shen is founded in 2006 with the objective is try to help to revive the true essence of 5,000 years civilization. So it's a wonderful objective that both organizations we share with, and we're proud to bring them to Connecticut here. As you're aware of, in China, with 5,000 years, people are very spiritual. They believe in Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, just name a few. But sadly, in the last 60 plus years, since the communism took over, many of those authentic cultures were destroyed. But the core spiritual value perceived still retained in people's mind. And this group of people, it's about 100 when they first started. They're all professional dancers and musicians, but they share the same vision, is how do they bring this valuable treasure, national treasure, back to the world. That's why they started. When they first started touring around the world in 2007, nowadays there are 3 dance troupes, the same size, each have had their own live orchestra performing. And so last year alone, they've been to 100 cities, 20 countries around the world. So very proud to bring the Connecticut here.
I think it's a fantastic way to preserve your rich culture and history. And so let's talk a little bit more about the dancers, the musicians, the singers, the orchestra. People at home can see pictures of them as we chat.
Right. A lot of those dancers, they won the international Chinese classical dance competitions. So they're really the talents around the world. Many of those, they're Chinese descendant, that they share the same objective. In fact, like myself, 5 years ago, you asked me what's classical Chinese dance. I know little about, but through the performance, I got to really appreciate that it's so diverse. Also, it's just so comprehensive. Parallel to ballet, it's one of the most comprehensive dancing systems in the world.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And this is coming from a ballerina. It's phenomenal, absolutely.
So maybe Tracey can also add a little bit more color about classical Chinese
dance. And tell us
dance.
about the stories that are told within Shen.
Well, I have learned some Chinese classical dance in the United States by actually some of the teachers before they formed Shen Performing Arts. They offer some teaching, so I actually learned a little bit from them before Shen was formed in 2006. So and so I know like a Chinese classic dance takes a lot of training and discipline. The dancer have also to be trained in ballet, but they have to be very good at least three major features of Chinese classical dance. One is called form, that's the movement and the poses of the dance. And another is the technique, that's like martial arts technique, where there's a lot of flip and turns. And another very, yeah. So acrobats actually came from Chinese classical dance. And there's another very important feature is called the bearing. That's the ability to express the ethnicity of the story and the inner feelings of the dancers. So that's why Chinese classical dance can portray like different stories and the legends from the history, and they can be very different characters.
So tell us a little bit about the stories that people will see when they come to the show.
Yeah, every year they actually bring in a different program, and some of those very popular ones, such as the Journey to the West, or we call the Monkey King story. It's a wonderful story, talk about a monk, that travel west to India, try to bring back the Buddha scripture. In this long journey, he had 3 disciples protecting him, and the favorite character is the Monkey King, being more rebellious, but at the same time very loyal, pure in his heart, always come to rescue at the right moment. So it's equivalent to like an Odyssey in the West, where different episode. So in the last few years, Shen will show just one episode of a story. So every year they bring in another story. So it's fun, very entertaining. Really, it's very enjoyable. You learn about the history. Yeah, it's also very enjoyable.
And Tracey?
Yeah, and that was from the Tang Dynasty, one of the more than 50 dynasties throughout Chinese history. Yeah, and there's another story you want to mention, Mulan.
Mulan, yeah. The other one, about 3 years ago, they have a performance about Mulan. You may heard about Mulan from the Disney. They have an animation. It's a wonderful story. It's talk about a young lady. It's over 1,000 years ago. It's a real story. In fact, she joined the army and served the army for close to 10 years. Remarkable young lady at that age that, probably rarely venture out doorstep, let alone so brave to fight for the country. It's a happy ending too, so she returned home at the end of the war. It's more about her spirit, making sacrifice for your family, your country, her resilience, her courage, loyalty to the family. So a lot of those common values that we appreciate and we treasure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, absolutely beautiful story. Now let's talk about the costumes. They are outrageous.
Yeah, with the performance, if you think about the group, about 100 professional dancers and musicians in together. So of the 50 professional dancers, so with each of the program only lasts about 5 minutes or so. Yet the show is 2 hours, so you see about 15 to 20 different pieces. Different costume, different backdrop, different music. We'll touch on some of those later. But the costume, all of those are handcrafted. Take a lot of time to design the costume and hand make those costumes. So you look at the color, it's just marvelous. And it's a lot of fashion design. They love the show. They want to sit in front row seat, so they can really enjoy and see how the different costumes come together.
Beautiful. Tracey, would you like to add to that about the costumes?
The costumes, they're either from more than 50 dynasties throughout the history, or more than actually 20 different dynasties and more than 50 ethnic regions in China.
Yeah, they're beautiful, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit now about my favorite thing, which is dancing, back to the dancing, but the choreographer. I'm just imagining how this person puts this whole show together, or a group of people. Tell us a little bit about the choreography that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah,
our understanding is that, it's a large group of choreographers to work together. There's so much story to tell with 5,000-year history, so I think one of the hardest part is to first have to choose the story, and then how do you compose the story and present it on stage. And that's the beauty of performing art. They're so expressive, don't really need to do any talking, yet you enjoy, appreciate it. They also have to combine with the technology nowadays with this animated digital backdrop. So the backdrop dynamically changing as they dance, and also with the live orchestra. So all describing on the stage with a large group dance, it takes so much effort for them to put together. So essentially they spend about 6 months touring around the world. The other 6 months they're dedicated to make new programs. So every time you heard about, every year they bring in 100% new program.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to speak with Tracey before the program, and I was going through some of the previous year's books with the pictures of the costumes, and no two were alike. They're very unique, and the stories that were told were very different, and I'm amazed. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So let's move on to the musicians and the orchestra and the conductor. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, that's also very unique. As they continue to grow now, they actually have 3 dance troupes, so they actually have 3 large orchestra. I know they spend 10 hours a day practicing, so it's amazing. Many of those, they come from very well-known orchestra previously. And the music, what makes it so unique is it combined. This is really the world only live orchestra that play both classical Chinese and classical Western instruments. Wow. And it's quite a challenge because the melody is very different, but when they combine together nicely, it's just a breath of fresh air. It's remarkable music. The tone is very different. It's something you can appreciate diversity again. One of my favorite Chinese instruments called erhu is also known as Chinese violin. It's only a 2-string instrument, but the sounds out of the world, very soulful. They have, from time to time, their solo instrument performance as well. But the effect of combining the light music with a large group dance, and then also animated backdrop, and then you mentioned about the costume, all bring it together with the story and classical Chinese dance. This is a world-class performance.
It is awesome. I want to talk a little bit about where the Shen has performed around the world. Tell us some places where they've been.
Yeah, last year alone they've been to 100 cities, 20 countries. So like in US, the East Coast, they perform in the Lincoln Center in New York City, also in the Boston Opera House in Boston. And also I know they perform in Philadelphia. I actually grew up in Austin, Texas, so they have performance in Texas as well. Dallas, Houston, and Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just a jam-packed in this travel schedule. When we do a promotion, some of the folks say, oh, I'm going to spend a few months in Florida. In fact, they're going to perform in Florida in 4 different cities in the next few months too. So I think if you can go look at the website, you can find out their schedule. And if your friends in different parts of the country, you can also let them know. They perform, in UK, I know in Taiwan, in Korea, Japan, France, around the world.
That's great. The show is there, so that's fabulous for you viewers over in the UK. That's awesome. That's awesome. So where is the show going to be here in Connecticut, and when? And give us all the details about that.
Absolutely. This is the second time coming to the Palace Theater. It's a remarkable venue in Waterbury.
Waterbury.
They made a major renovation back in 2004, so it's a marvelous venue. They're going to perform for free performance on February 13 and 14. Okay. And by the way, 14 is a Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day.
Give me another good reason to come to see this world-class performance. Bring your loved one to the show.
And that's the best you can give. An experience, right? It's an experience. So thank you so much, both of you, for coming. Tracey Ju and Willaim Cheung, thank you so much. And you'll see more information here where you can find tickets and information for Cheung. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We have the fabulous sultry soul singer, Laree Salmon, coming up.
Can't you see the glow on the window pane? I can see the sun whenever you're near. Every time you touch me, I just melt away. Now everybody's asking why I'm smiling out from ear to ear, but I know, love is worth it, but worth it after fighting through my tears. If finally you put me first, maybe it's you. yeah. He sounds so sweet, my heart skips a beat when that sugar is there, ooh yeah. He picks me up, ooh, he makes me think twice. He makes me think twice about paradise. That sugar and spice, that sugar is nice. He's sugar to me. I want some of your brown sugar. Oh, 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 yeah. I want some of your brown sugar. Sweet titty, I want some of your brown sugar, sugar, yeah. Ooh, I want some of your brown sugar, yeah. Can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. A sweetie too. Dark chocolate, but occasionally white chocolate, especially caramel chocolate. Oh, with the nuts in it. Brown sugar, baby, I get high off your love, don't how to behave. Brown sugar, baby, I get high, so high, so high. Brown sugar, baby, I get high. Brown sugar, baby, I get high. Of your love.
Welcome back to the show. Weren't they amazing? The sultry, soulful sounds of Miss Laree Salmon. She's here joining me on the sofa along with Mr. Jason Durrant. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yay. So, first of all, how'd you get into singing and where are you going next with it?
Well, I've always been singing, I
Okay.
think, or I like to say. I want to say that I started picking it up a lot more when I was living in Orlando. And I was actually in the military for 4 years, and I was their little singing airman.
Oh, wow. Now, I know you blend your singing with your fashion.
I do.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, vintage is art and music is art.
Yes.
Yes, that's where I'm going with it. You're going to see a lot more singing of myself singing coming up, actually. And it's leading into a production that I'll be putting together in May. And it is called Vintage is Art, Music is Art. And the tiers will be, telling you first, Harlem Nights, Motown, Woodstock 69, and Queens of the Night, which are all the fashion icons, style moguls from back then.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So we're going to have you back, I know. Right? In May. And Jason, you got an album out.
Yes, I do. Yes,
Tell
I
us
do.
about it.
Well, it's a smooth jazz album. It's called Embracing the Moment. You could check on iTunes, type in Jason Durrant. That's Durrant, the last name, and it will pop up. As well as another one coming out, Love Between Us. That one's coming out in Valentine's Day. So, and that's Laree's actually is on that one.
Talent.
Well, you know.
Thank you guys so much for coming. Jason Durrant and Laree Salmon. My name is Linnet Carty. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank my guests from the first segment, Willaim Cho and Tracey Ju. Thank you so much for coming on Shen Yun. And a very special thanks to my crew, both to Miguel Vasquez and my director, Jitu Huntley. Couldn't do it without you. We'll see you on the next Linnet Carty program. Have a